I'm inspired. I'm inspired.
Hey there guys, how's it going? My name is Sumedh Chatterjee from the Flow Zone Academy, and I'm a flow state coach, which means that I help you feel better and perform better. Today I'm going to speak to you guys about intelligence. What in the world is this thing, okay? So I was invited to a cruise the other day, which was very cool, very interesting. It was my mom's, I believe, high school reunion or something, and there were a lot of army generals and things there. It was the Indian Army, so the Navy was like there, and it was cool because the military police were like moving people out of the way and stuff. It was a very VIP treatment. It was very interesting to experience that for myself. So
real chill, but I'm hyper, about peace, but a fighter,
I was talking to one of the people there, and he said that, oh, my name means Sumedh. Sumedh means brilliance, or something along those lines. And I said, yeah, I think it means like clever. And he's like, no, clever has a bad connotation to it. I think what you mean is intelligent. And I was like, hey, cool. I want to be intelligent. That's an awesome word. And then I started thinking about it. Since I'm studying for this NAT test, I'm going through this chapter on intelligence, and I start to notice like what actually defines something as intelligence, okay? And this is what I wanted to share with you guys today in this video. We can solve problems through different ways, right? One is trial and error. We try some things out. Like, let's say you forgot your password, right? You try a bunch of ways to try and think of the password, okay? Secondly, we can think of an algorithm, creating a pattern or a system. So that would be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then we do 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 3, 3, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? And then we just keep going. That would be you creating a pattern, right? You creating some form of system to think of the password. Then we think of a heuristic. A heuristic would be a mental shortcut. So you would think of, maybe it was my birthday, right? Or you go back to old passwords that you've made and then try to think of a new password, right? So this is an example of how we solve problems. Heuristic, there's a means end analysis, which means the bigger problems get put into smaller problems and then worked on in terms of the small baby steps. Or you work backwards and reverse engineer this thing, where you start from the goal state and then look at connections backwards to the current state. Now there's an availability heuristic and a representativeness heuristic. I have a video on heuristics that goes into this, but mainly it's like representative heuristic is like a representation of something. So like if you're generalizing, right? So you're like, oh, I had one experience with this teacher, all teachers are like that, right? You're creating a representation of that thing. Availability is whatever is available in your mind. So like if you have a lot of experience with comic books, right, and they ask you a quiz on that, you're going to be able to answer it because of your availability heuristic, because you're so into it, right? Because you have a lot of storage space in your mind of that particular area, and it's available to you very quickly, right? There's many biases that come with this. There's the conjunction bias, so two things next to each other, we automatically think that, oh, it has to be one of these things, right? Like if you get a question, you're like, is it A or B? Right? We're usually likely to choose A or B. We're not likely to choose like none of the above or whatever, right? But this is the conjunction bias. Then we have the overconfidence bias. I'm sure we know a lot of people like this, right? Who are overconfident of their abilities. Like they're like, yeah, I'll do the exam, whatever. Like I'm gonna ace it, and then they don't do well. Well, there's a level of fluency, right? Maybe your ability to sit in your room and study is like, okay, that's fine, but how well are you able to actually experience a test-taking situation where people, time you, and you have all of these other external factors, there. So overconfidence, sometimes it is a bias for sure. It doesn't predict results effectively. Confidence is great. Overconfidence is just, you're blinding yourself, right? So then we have belief perseverance. You just ignore and rationalize facts, right? This happens with a lot of like political elections. You kind of just bulldozer over any facts that come through, and you're just like, yeah, that's not important, right? So that would be belief perseverance as a bias. Then we have confirmation bias. You actively seek out things that confirm the facts that you're looking for specifically, right? Then you have something called framing effect, which is basically considering all of the facts influencing your decision. Now, there are many types of intelligence according to these different theories. There's the G factor, okay? It's not the gangster factor, okay? This is general intelligence, okay? The Chatterjee factor is right here, but, you know, that was an awful joke. That's my last name, by the way. This is a theory of general intelligence. This is by this guy called Spearman. Well, that sounds like a very intimidating name, first and foremost, right? Spearman, spear that cuts through. That sounds like intelligence to me, you know? Something that cuts through like a spear. So that's the general intelligence test. Then you have the theory of primary mental abilities, which is basically by Thornstone, 7 factors, right? You have theories of multiple intelligence by Gardner. Oh, so if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, you know, that example. So yeah, you can't basically do that. There's musical intelligence. There's so many different kinds of intelligence, right, in that way. But the general accepted intelligence test is that G factor. So that's strange to me a little bit, but anyway, let's move forward, right? Then we have the triarchic theory of intelligence, which is basically triarch, like triangle, right? Analytical, creative, and practical, right? And this is said to be evident of success in the real world, though I'm not too sure on how they found that. I believe that one was by Sternberg, okay? Now, in culture, we're giving the word intelligence a lot of weight, right? We're like, intelligence. Like it's this very severe, serious thing that without it we will crumble as a society. Like, you know, so what weight are you putting on that word? How is intelligence different from an ability or a trait, for instance? Because if I go to a concert, I'm not like looking at it like, oh, I really am fascinated by this artist's musical intelligence. I'm just like, no, it's a wonderful song to listen to, you know? So how much are we placing importance on intelligence in culture as well, and understanding that IQ and EQ, you know, emotional intelligence is also important, coming into this equation of it. I find this fascinating. The definition for intelligence is a mental quality that allows you to learn from experience, solve problems, and adapt to new situations. Fascinating, right? Sounds kind of like the flow state to me. Or is it that creative genius, your like ability to solve problems, your ability to, you know, adapt to new things, be versatile, and mental quality aspect of it where you're allowing yourself to learn from each experience and grow from it, right? Now there's fluid intelligence, which is quick and abstract reasoning, and this declines over time. Decay, some people call it. And then there is crystallized intelligence. This is the storage space of accumulated knowledge that sometimes gets better over the years or it stays the same over the years. If you ever have heard of these terms, fixed mindset and growth mindset, fixed mindset is actually this understanding of you think intelligence is stuck, right? It's static. It's not a dynamic process. But a person with a growth mindset believes that intelligence can grow, that intelligence can change over time. And so that gets them to actually strive to be more intelligent and to practice it, and to be able to grow and learn from it, right? We get into fixations a lot when we're trying to get into the flow state. A fixation is like getting stuck on a wrong approach, right? A mentality or an approach that is just ineffective. So we get fixated onto it. All right, we talk about like one-itis, for instance, right? You get stuck onto one partner and your whole world revolves around them. And that actually distracts you from your daily life, and it distracts you from other endeavors, and you get so obsessed about this one person that your entire world revolves around them, right? Similar to that, you know, your fixation is like you get stuck on this one approach. It's like you only have to do it that way. It's always been that way. And so your capacity for actually exploring different levels and multidimensional models of intelligence and flourishing get limited. Right? You're not using unconventional methods, you're not being creative at all, you're just sticking to the script in a sense. Right? And a lot of people, they procrastinate, but what they really mean to do is incubate. Okay? They mean to incubate, which means let it sit in your mind so you can solve the problem. Right? Let it sit there and marinate for a little bit. Marinate. You're like keeping it in the oven, right? You're like, okay, I want to solve this problem, let me just go on a quick walk. I'm going to eat some pie and come back, right? I'm going to walk my dog and come back. I'm going to do something else that isn't as intense and just let it incubate, let it sit there for a little bit. Use the MacGyver method, right? And then come back to it. And I think that's a powerful technique towards actually shaping intelligence too. A lot of people use mnemonic devices to strengthen their memory. Just like that, I believe that we can use different tools like this to actually shape our brain. Just like we have brain training, there's a lot of different things which you can do to heighten our senses and our brain acuity, okay? So if you are interested in learning more about that, shoot me a message. Have an amazing day. I hope this video helps you out today. May the flow be with you and stay legendary. Stay smart. Bong.